Hello, welcome to more yoga with me, Emily. Thank you so much for joining me today. I thought we would get a little bit into the upper back and the chest today. So, a little bit of eagle stuff, a little bit of opening through the chest, and that'll be half an hour. So, let's start lying down today. If you have props, they're useful, but I don't really intend on teaching to them today. Yeah, so lie down on your back to start with. You could have your knees bent or straight. With knees bent, I like taking the feet a little bit wider so that the knees can hang in toward each other, and that way you're not using any muscular activation to keep the legs from falling. You could have the legs straight. If you wish, you could bring the soles of the feet together, knees wide for a butterfly position. Whatever feels good for you. And then for 3 breaths, inhale through your nose. Exhale, sigh, and breath away. A couple more. And continue breathing however you need to at this moment. It could be in and out through your nose or your mouth. And then take a little wrap of your shoulder blades toward each other a bit more just to help open up through the chest. So it ends up being a very, very mini back bend through the upper back. And you might start to breathe into that space, even thinking of opening the space between the shoulders. It's not a very natural breath. And then exhale, let it all go. Or maybe you just have a normal, natural breath here as we open through the chest. Excuse me. And then start to bring a little bit of movement back to your body. Wiggle of the fingertips or toes. It could be a full overhead yawning stretch. And then when you're ready, start to draw your knees in toward your chest. You might take a little rock from side to side, or you could draw circles with your knees or thighs. Maybe even just massage out the base of the spine, the pelvis. And then start to reach your arms and your legs up to the sky. Allow the shoulder blades to drape back together. You might do a little shake or point or flex of the ankles or toes. You could kind of egg beater the legs if that feels good, or do flamenco fingers. Just starting to bring a little bit of blood flow into the limbs. Okay, and then from here, cross your right thigh over top of the left. And then bend your knees. So we're not going for a full Gomukhasana legs like we did on Wednesday. Just a little cross of the legs. And in fact, you could even have the feet or 1 foot on the floor with the legs crossed to start with. In fact, let's start there. It's a bit easier. Arms up to the sky, and then sweep your right arm underneath the left and grab the back of your shoulders if you wish, or maybe you start to work toward an eagle bind of the arms. But rather than pulling the hands away from the forehead, just let them drape to the forehead. So it's a really passive variation. You might feel there's a little bit more space now between the shoulder blades. So option 1 is to stay here for a few breaths. Option 2 is to start to de-weight the legs and draw the knees toward the elbows. Option 3 is to curl elbows and knees toward each other for a few breaths. And then slowly, gently release it all, arms and legs. Little shake out. And then we'll switch sides. So cross the left thigh over top of the right. Keep your feet on the floor to start with, or at least the right foot. Arms up to the sky. Cross the left arm underneath the right. And again, maybe you just grab the back of the shoulders. Maybe you go for a full bind, or I'll just allow the hands to rest to the forehead. Option 1 is to stay here. Option 2 is to little draw belly button to spine and draw the knees up toward you, de-weighting the feet. That's a beautiful place to stay. Or option 3, for a couple breaths, curl your elbows and knees toward each other. And then slowly, gently release it all. Little shake out. And then bring your feet to the floor, hip width apart, parallel-ish, close enough into your bum that you can tickle your heels with your fingertips. And on your inhale, lift the pelvis up off the floor and the spine, coming into bridge, and then exhale, slowly lower back down. So the arms can be still by your side. You could have robot arms, or maybe as you inhale, you start to lift your arms all the way overhead, and then exhale, bring them back to reaching to the sky. And then inhale to lift, exhale to lower. So it takes a little bit more stability, a little bit more work so that you don't flop to one side or the other. But it shouldn't feel too strenuous. If you feel like you start to get a weird blood pressure effect if the arms go overhead, then don't reach them all the way overhead. You can do floor to sky instead. So a few more of these, up and down with the breath. Inhale to lift. Exhale to lower. Last 2. And then the next time that you lower down, pause there. Take the feet mat width apart. Let the knees hang in toward each other. And then bring your arms to a cactus shape on either side of you. From here, keep your feet mat width apart and allow both of your knees to go over to the left. So we've done this a couple times, but I want you to sort of explore it a little bit more today. So this is the variation, a very sort of simple variation with the top knee is hovering, right? It's unlikely that it's touching the floor. That might feel really good for you. Or maybe you choose to hook the left ankle over top of the right knee, or thigh, I suppose it more is. And then here you could be really passive, or you could squeeze the bum on that right side to get even more opening through the hip. And then you might even start to feel it across through the chest on that right side. You might start to reach that right arm back up to the back right corner of your room or your space. You might look up to the right as well, or over to the right. And then slowly start to unwind, unhook that heel if it's over top, and then come back to center, little windshield wiper of the legs, and allow both your knees to go over to the right. Again, just explore each option rather than going straight into the one that you might always go for. Sometimes this first option just feels really good. Maybe you hook the right ankle over top of the left thigh and then just allow the hips to sink, or maybe you squeeze the bum on that left side, opening a little bit more through the left side of the body. Maybe that lifts the chest up as well. And then you can reach the left arm back and to the back left corner. Breathing into that left side of the body. And then unhook the foot if it's hooked. Inhale, slowly come back to center. A little windshield wiper of the knees. And then draw your knees toward you. Take a little rock from side to side. And then you might feel like rocking and rolling up and down your spine here. If not, just gently press yourself to the side. And then we'll all meet in hands and knees. So, setting up with knees underneath hips, toes can be tucked or untucked, and then you want your hands outer shoulder width apart or wider. So, as always, when you set them down, you want to look down and see, does the outer edge of your shoulder line up with the middle of your wrist? Spread the fingers wide, little draw of belly button to spine, and then inhale, lift the tailbone, hollow through the lower back, broaden through the collarbones. Exhale, round through the spine, tuck the tailbone under, and you press through the shoulder blades. Inhale to dip the belly into cow. Exhale, round the back into cat. So a few more of these cat and cow undulations. As slow as you need to go, as deep as you need to go. If there's any other movement that you would like to take here, you can start to freestyle. You can wag the tail from side to side. You can draw big barrel rolls through your chest. You can send your hips back toward your heels. Last breath. And then gently come back to center. Bring your right hand in front of your left hand. There could be space here, or you might be quite close together. It sort of just depends on how long your arms are, the torso length. And then with the toes tucked, start to send your heels, or your hips rather, back toward your heels. You might come down onto the forearm on that left arm. But breathing now into the right side of the body, getting lots of space. You could feel this down towards the pelvis, all the way up through the lats, through the trapezius, the triceps. And then slowly inhale back to center, and then take the left hand in front of your right, send the hips back, and then getting all that space on the left side of the body. And then slowly inhale. Come back to center, a little wiggle or shake. You could stay here, moving and grooving through cat and cow if you wish. Some of you might choose to take child's pose, whether the knees are wide or together with the hips back, or maybe you choose downward facing dog. So wherever you would like to be today, if you're in down dog, make sure those hands are spread nice and wide, that fingertips are wide as well. But go wherever you need to go. If you're in child's pose or hands and knees, make your way into downward facing dog. Pedal the heels a little bit. Wag your tail from side to side. And then take your feet mat width apart and possibly shorten your down dog stance a little bit. It will be easier if your heels can reach the floor. If they can't, don't worry about it, right? It's not a big deal. And then pick up the right arm out to the side as you exhale. Sweep the right arm underneath the left armpit. You might find the leg or the thigh, the calf, the ankle, or the foot. Really press that left hand into the floor as you twist underneath your armpit. And then inhale back to center. Not an easy thing to do. Right? And then inhale that left arm out to the side. Exhale, sweep it through the right. Maybe find the thigh, the calf, the ankle, or the foot. And then you can use that hand to help you twist underneath the right armpit. And then inhale, back to center. Return to your normal downward facing dog stance. And then bend your knees, look forward. Exhale, walk, step, or hop to the top edge of your mat. Coming into your standing forward fold. If you want more support today, you could rest your elbows on your knees or thighs. If you want more traction through the spine, you could clasp opposite elbows with hands. You might sway a little bit from side to side. Any movement that feels good here, which might be no movement at all. And then release your hands if they're bound with fingertips to the earth or your shins or blocks. Inhale, a little partway lift. Exhale, let it all go. Couple more. As you lift up, think of wrapping the shoulder blades toward each other so you get a little bit more opening through the chest. And then bend your knees, head heavy, arms heavy. Slowly roll up to standing. One vertebra at a time. Slow as you need to go. And then maybe take a couple loops of your shoulders up, back, and down. A little wiggle or release. And here we are in standing. So the feet are hip width apart. Little hug of the legs toward each other. And I want you to squeeze your bum like crazy here. Bring your hands to your sacrum. Not so much the low back, but the sacrum will give you a little bit more support. Wrap your elbows and your shoulder blades toward each other. Again, that little draw of belly button to spine. Squeeze the bum. This might be your back bend today. If you would like more, start to press the hips forward, really squeezing the bum to lift the heart up to the sky. Some of you might interlace the hands and slide them down the thighs. So wherever you need to go, try not to open up through the throat though. And then inhale, come all the way back up. And exhale, release. Nicely done, is what I would say if I had a class of people where I could see what they were up to. Anyway, come to the top edge of your mat. Inhale, sweep up to the sky. Exhale, melt, forward fold. Fingertips to shins. Inhale, little partway lift. Exhale, let it go. Charge your legs. Inhale, sweep all the way up to the sky. Exhale, hands to prayer. Inhale to the sky. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, little partway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, sweep all the way up to the sky. Exhale, hands to prayer. One last time. And exhale, hands to prayer. A couple breaths here, or with your hands by your side, eyes open or closed. Just feel what you feel. Notice what you notice. And then gently flicker your eyelids open. Shake it out a little bit. And then send all the weight to your right leg. Find a little buoyancy on that supporting leg. Right, so that knee is bent. Belly bent to spine. Pick up the left knee. And then extend the big toe mounds forward. Take a couple easy pulses of that left leg up and down. And then pause. Take a couple pulses of the supporting leg. Kick the heel to the bum. Slowly lean forward. Keep that bend on the right leg. Inhale here. And then exhale. Little gentle twist to the left. Inhale back. Exhale to the right. Inhale. Exhale. Last time. And then draw that lifted knee all the way forward and through. And then release. Shake it out a little bit. And then send the weight to your left leg. A little buoyancy on that supporting knee. Belly bend to spine. Pick up the right foot. Extend the big toe mounds forward. A couple easy pulses of that lifted leg without hiking the hip, right? Or tucking under. A couple pulses of the supporting leg. Kick the heel of the bum. And then lean forward a little bit. Arms in cactus. Inhale here. Exhale to the left. Or right, rather. Inhale back to center. Exhale, left. Inhale. And exhale. Back to center. Last one. Exhale to the left. Inhale, center. Slowly draw that lifted knee all the way forward and through. And exhale, step it down. Feet hip width apart. Inhale your arms wide. As you exhale, bring your right arm under your left. And then give yourself a big hug. You could grab your shoulders. You could bring the backs of the hands together. Or maybe you go for the full eagle bind of fingertips to palms. And then from here, think of lifting the elbows as the shoulder blades come down the back. And then opposite from what we did on the floor, which was hand to forehead, think of pulling the hands away from your head. If you're in the bind, if you're in elbows or shoulders, just keep lifting those elbows. Couple breaths here. Maybe think of lifting the heart a little bit. And then bend your knees, tuck the tailbone under, round through the spine, really pull the elbows forward. You might stay here, getting into the upper back. You might round a little bit more forward, getting more mid back, or even low back. Last couple breaths. And then inhale all the way back up. Unwind. And exhale. Release. Right away, we'll go to the opposite side. Inhale the arms wide. Exhale, bring your left arm underneath your right this time. Again, this might be where you stay. Hands on your shoulders. Maybe you start to fold the arms together or take the bind. And then think of lifting the elbows as the shoulders travel down the back. And then pull the hands away from your face if that is something that is available to you. And maybe you lift through the heart. And bend your knees, tuck your tailbone under, pull the elbows forward, round through the spine. And then when you're ready, inhale, come all the way back up, unfurl your wings and shake it out a little bit. And then come back to feet hip width apart. Same thing that we did a couple minutes ago. Hands to the low back, wrap the elbows, the shoulders toward each other, bend in the knees, squeeze the bump. Maybe you press the hips forward. So we're getting stretch and counter stretch. Keep breathing. Then inhale all the way up. Exhale, release, and shake it out. Inhale up to the sky. Exhale, melt, forward fold. Inhale, little partway lift. Exhale, fold, bend your knees, plant your hands, step back to hands and knees. Little wiggle, little shake, cat and cow. And then from here, depending on where you are on your mat, you might walk your knees back a little bit and then shift your weight forward so the shoulders are stacked over the wrists. Or maybe you tuck your toes and lift the hips up. So plank, top of a push-up for a couple breaths. Make sure your hips aren't too high, but they're also not sagging. Squeeze the bum, squeeze the tops of the thighs. And then look to the top edge of the mat. Exhale, lower all the way down to the earth. Little wiggle of the hips from side to side. Untuck your toes. Press the tops of the feet into the floor, so much so that you feel your kneecaps lift away from the earth. I'm only looking up so I don't muffle the microphone. Try to have your forehead down if you can. Hug the legs toward each other. Squeeze the bum. And then inhale, reach your heart forward and up, baby cobra. And exhale down. So a couple of these on your own time, on your own breath. Hands could hover or press into the floor a little bit more. Keep those legs really active though, and the bum, so you don't crank into the low back. And on your next exhale, release all the way down. One cheek to the floor. Deep belly breaths to release through the low back. And then bring your forehead back to center. This time, interlace your fingers behind the back of your head. If you're able to get your forehead flat to the floor, and that's a great place to start. Get your legs really active. Press the tops of the feet into the floor, squeeze the bum. And then start to lift the elbows away from the earth. Wrap the shoulder blades toward each other. From here, inhale, lift the head and the heart just a little bit. So you want to think of pressing the head into the fingers, right up to the back of the head lifting up to the sky. And this helps keep strength here in the back of the neck rather than cranking and lifting through the chin. Lift the elbows. Exhale, opposite cheek to the earth. And again, deep belly breath to release through the low back. Bring your hands underneath your shoulders. Gently press yourself up to hands and knees. Shift to your hips on one side. Swing your legs forward to come into a seated position. In fact, I'll show you from the side. Feet stay on the floor, knees bent. Fingertips point behind you. And then press into your hands and feet to shift your hips forward. From here, wrap the shoulder blades toward each other, lift through the heart. Really think of pressing the index knuckle mounds down. Hug the upper arm bones toward each other. Feel that deep, deep opening through the chest and the shoulders and down the upper arms. And then gently bend your elbows. Shake it out. And then make your way down onto your back. Whether you do this sort of Pilates roll down, or you might support yourself as you come down to the floor. And hug your knees into your chest. A little rock from side to side. Take your right arm out to the side. Maybe you shift your hips right a little bit to start with. Exhale, lower your knees to the left for a twist. It can be as gentle or as deep as you need. Knees could be stacked. You could cross the legs or extend one. Allow the breath to slow. And then very slowly on your inhale, return to center. Reset your spine, your pelvis. Maybe you shift the hips left a little bit. And then exhale, the knees to the right. You could look along the left arm if you'd like to, just to finish off the spiral in the neck. Last few breaths here. And then inhale, slowly come back to center. If there's anything else you feel like you need before your rest, it could be a posture, meditation, please feel free to go where you would like to go. Happy baby might feel particularly good here if you wish. And then start to think about where you would like to go for your rest, whether it's flat on your back, legs bent or straight. You could rest on your side or in a seated meditation, in child's pose, wherever you will feel comfortable. And then once you've found your pose of rest for 3 breaths, inhale through your nose. Exhale, sigh. Your breath away. Couple more. With each exhale, let your body melt a bit deeper into the earth. Let go of all breath control to return to your natural breath. Let go of any last muscle gripping or tension. And stay here longer if you can, 5 or 10 minutes. Thank you so much for joining me today. Namaste.